This is where now employers are having to make the decision as to what is the most productive and efficient and profitable item for them. Because of course, if employees are not coming into the office, well, now you can have less expenses as an employer because now you don't have to have as big of an office. You don't have to have as many office expenses. You don't have to pay for all the utilities. But if a company feels like people are more productive in the office, now you have higher office expenses, but you would hope now that you're going to be able to drive more revenue and more profits because people are being more productive in the company, in the office. And this is where employees are saying, well, I'm not making enough money. This is tough because the cost of living is rising so quickly and the salary that I'm getting is not justifying me to either continue working here or it's making it harder for me to survive. And this is a big dilemma. And the reason why this is such a big dilemma is because employers are struggling to pay some of their employees more because some of them are struggling to make more money. Now, of course, this is not a universal statement. Some companies are making more money, some companies are making less money, but what we're seeing across the board is that we are seeing kind of a slowdown in growth across the country, across the economy. And so if companies are seeing a slowdown in growth, while employees keep wanting more money, that means profits are not growing as fast, while expenses could be rising even faster. You can start to see why that's a problem. And so now if you're a company or an executive and you're saying, well, we keep needing more expenses because people want more money to work, well, we're not making enough money, we're going to need more productivity out of our employees. This is the shift that we're starting to see in the economy. And the question is, what is driving this shift and where is this shift going to be over the next 12 months? Because this is something you need to know whether you are an employer or an employee. Now, we've been covering this in Market Briefs. Market Briefs is my free financial newsletter. If you have not joined Market Briefs yet, it is a free and easy way for you to stay up to date on what's happening in things like the housing market, the economy, the stock market, the crypto market, and the global economy. You can read Market Briefs in less than 5 minutes every morning, and it's completely free. So if you have not joined Market Briefs, I got the link for you down in the description below, where you can go to briefs.co/market. Now, why are we seeing this big shift in the economy? Because all the free money that we have been seeing enter our economy in 2020, 2021, and 2022 is now going away. In March of 2022, the Federal Reserve Bank started raising interest rates. What did that do? That made money a little bit more expensive, and that started to pull all this free money out of the economy. It started to do that. Now, here we are in 2023, and it doesn't look like the Federal Reserve Bank is done raising interest rates yet, even though we have seen the fastest run-up in interest rates since the early 1980s. And so now we are seeing the highest interest rates in more than 2 decades. We are seeing the fastest growth in interest rates in more than 4 decades. And now it doesn't look like the higher interest rates are going away anytime soon because, well, the Federal Reserve Bank has been working to raise interest rates to cool down inflation. And over the last few months, we have not been seeing inflation fall. In fact, we have been seeing inflation rise and accelerate faster. You can see why that poses a problem for the Federal Reserve Bank because now here we have the situation. Employees feel like they're not making enough money because the cost of living is growing faster than wages. Employers are not making enough money because, well, spending is slowing. Economic growth is slowing and their costs are rising. And so now employers need more work. Employees are stuck saying, we need more money. Employers are struggling to pay out sometimes higher salaries. Employees are saying, I can't afford to keep funding my lifestyle. And so this is that dilemma now that the Federal Reserve Bank is working to solve, and they don't want to see an economic slowdown. However, the problem is raising interest rates have consequences, but high inflation also has consequences. And so now when you kind of forecast what's going to be coming over the next 12 months, you have to project that there's going to be some sort of economic pain because we have seen the most amount of money printing ever between 2020 and 2022. Now we're seeing the fastest growth in interest rates in more than 4 decades. We are not used to being in an economy with more elevated interest rates. Now, interest rates today are historically not that high, but if you compare it to the last couple of decades, yes, it is high interest rates. And so now we're starting to see this dilemma start to develop. It hasn't fully hit the market's full force yet, but you're starting to see it develop in more and more places. I've been seeing it more and more places in different stores that I go to, whether it's in Michigan, whether it's in New York, whether it's in California. And this is where now you're starting to see the kind of that imbalance of power between the employers and the employees, where now employers are starting to be much more pickier. Before it was the employees that were much more pickier. Now the employers are starting to get a little bit more of an upper hand because they need more productive work. And if you're not willing to do that work, well, they might be willing to let you go because they're already looking for ways to cut their expenses. So what I want you to understand is This shift is happening. We are seeing a shift in the economy, period. Why is this shift happening? Well, you can go back to what the Federal Reserve Bank has been doing. I've covered that in many videos. You can watch that on my channel if you want to learn more about the ins and outs of inflation and what has caused this economic situation that we are in right now. However, the reality is we are in this situation. The Federal Reserve Bank is going to be continuing to fight inflation. That has more impacts on the economy at a time where inflation is still hot. And so what you need to understand now as an employee is, number one, how do you protect your income? Number two, how do you use your money smartly? Because the reality is most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, are not using their money smartly. So there are ways to use your income better. And number three is, how do you protect and grow real wealth? This is what financial education is all about. Because what most people do is they rely on their salary to become wealthy. That if I make more money, I can have a bigger car. If I make more money, I can have a bigger home. If I make more money, I can have better vacations. That's not what wealthy people want to do. Wealthy people want more money. That way they can buy more investments, because then these investments will pay for their lifestyle. You don't need a ton of money to start doing this. You can start doing this with as little as $100. But the reality is you have to start understanding how investing works and how to be more financially educated. On the employer side, the reality is pretty much every employer across the country is going to need more productive work out of employees. And most employers need their employees to be more creative. Now, it depends on the company. Some companies can run just fine remotely. Some companies need more creative juice. If you're working for a startup, if you're working for more of an edgy growth type company, yeah, people need to be together because that's how you collaborate. That's how you come up with ideas. That's how you can work together long hours and come up with better things to do. That's what every startup has done in the past. So if you're working for a startup or a growth or one of these edgy type of companies, you can see why there's value in coming into the office. If you're working for more of an established company where all you're doing is really just putting this into this and you're just plugging numbers into an Excel spreadsheet, then it doesn't really matter who you're talking to. It doesn't really matter how your collaborations happen. But that's where now some companies feel like it might be better for you to come in, and it really just depends on what the company is. So you kind of want to start putting yourself into the shoes of your employer, because now employers are looking at where the economy is today and where the economy is going to be in 12 and 24 months. And now they're trying to protect themselves and grow themselves. That way they're not in a position of potential pain if the economy continues to slow. So what does this mean? Well, number one, 2023 is not the year for you to go out and finance a new truck. I've been saying this a lot now, but the reason why is because this is the time for you to get financially smart and financially educated. But then number two, understand what's going on, not just on the employee side, but also the employer side, because that's going to help you make better decisions for yourself. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide on how to start generating passive income for free. All you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.